Hi, this is Dr. Stephanie Wautier, and I'm the host of Conversations with a Chiropractor. I believe healing often begins with connection, and that's really what this podcast is about. These are real conversations about health, healing, life, and the stories that shape us. Some guests come from the wellness world, some come from the community, and some simply bring a life experience worth sharing. My hope is that each conversation invites you to listen, learn, reflect, and maybe see your own life or healing in a new way. Sit back, grab a cup of coffee, and enjoy this conversation with a chiropractor. Today on Conversations with a Chiropractor, I am joined by Michelle, and we are going to talk about caregiver fatigue. So, very interestingly enough, more than 60% of caregivers report symptoms of burnout or significant caregiver strain. With the caregivers of people that are taking care of dementia and Alzheimer's patients experiencing the highest rates of fatigue and emotional distress. And Michelle, you're in that category.
I never thought that I would fall into that category because I really felt like it was going to be a piece of cake to do this. And I have since found out that it really isn't. And just to set the record straight, my mom is almost 90 and she was doing very, very well up until just a couple of years ago when she had had a few falls, landed in the hospital a couple of times, and then she had a stroke. Things really got to be quite a bit more tedious, let me say, because she did spend some time recovering in a nursing home situation, and she's very stubborn and very adamant about being in her home. So she did get to the point to where we got her back home, and she does live with me because somebody has to be with her. I never thought that it was going to be easy, but I never thought that I would be feeling the way that I do now. And I work full time and I'm, there with my mother. I do have children and new grandchildren. So definitely life is full. But at the same time, I've felt myself get to a point of why am I feeling the way I do? I feel like I'm noticing things or I feel like I'm more stressed all the time. I definitely have noticed things about myself. But at the same time, I've also noticed things about the turn of the relationship with my mother, where one of the things that she said to me when she first came home over a year ago was, "You're now my caregiver." She said that. And I was like taken back by that for a second.
Yeah.
Or, no, I'm your daughter. I don't think that I'm meant to be your 24-hour a day caregiver. Whether that was just maybe true in her mind and that's the way she was looking at it, I'm not sure. But we did end up having someone come in to be with her a few days a week before I had to go back. I'm an instructor at our local university. So before I had to go back full time to work, we ended up having to have someone there with her 5 days a week, just because, she was recovering and it was hard.
Yeah.
And she couldn't be left alone.
And for our listeners, I'm going to sort of even backtrack. So you basically moved home. You had been living away about 4 or 5 hours away in a different area. And you moved back home because she was having some symptoms of aging, like that she was falling more. So you made the very huge sacrificial move, like literally, to move in with her, to be with her.
Yes.
For her safety.
Yes. And it was all about her safety because, when she was falling, even though she has things to help her, like Life Alert and our very dear neighbor would come up and check on her. My son would go over and check on her because he was the only family member living here at the time. And he said to me more than once over the course of a year, "Mom, you've got to come back. You've got to come back." And even our neighbor also said, "You know what? We need to see you come back. She needs you." So I did. I made that conscious decision to come back, and for sure.
And really, like, to the sacrifice of the career that you had there, your romantic relationship, your partner wasn't able to move here with you. And, not to get overly dramatic, but that relationship didn't last because of the distance. And I mean, you're the only child,
Mhm.
so that puts even more pressure and stress on you.
Yes, and that is where, and I can honestly say that it does. Is when you can share that with a sibling, maybe I could see where it would possibly be a little bit less.
Mhm.
My kids have been great in so many aspects and trying to help, but at the same time, they're entitled to have their own life, and I feel very strongly about that.
And they also both have new babies.
They both had new babies, so they are very busy with their own lives when at the same time, they would love to help if they could. But everyone has noticed the change in how difficult things can be,
Mhm.
and they've been there to see some of these things. But at the same time, they've also said, wow, I miss the way Nana used to be. I miss those things about her where they're actually seeing some of the changes that she can't help.
Do you think that those changes in her personality are because of the stroke?
I think a lot of the changes in her personality are relative to the stroke. And, you know, even the way she sees things sometimes. I mean, she's said things to me like, you've changed so much. I don't know what's happened to you. And I'm thinking to myself, I really don't think that I have. And I think maybe in her own mind, she doesn't think she's changed at all. But clearly she has because we're all seeing it.
Yeah.
But that plays with your thought processors as well. When you have your own parent tell you, you've changed so much and I can't believe how much you've changed. And I'm thinking to myself, have I, what, what, and you start questioning yourself.
Yeah.
You go,
Well, and I mean, you've kind of touched on this a little bit about, the relationship that you used to have with your mom doesn't exist anymore. It doesn't exist because number one, she has had a stroke and her brain cognitively is different and has changed,
Mm.
which has made the roles are literally completely reversed.
Yeah. Yeah.
One thing I do know about your mom is that she wants to live at home so bad that, like, to the detriment of herself, in that there's a lot of there's a lot of friction, there's a lot of opposition. Like, she's equally upset about a health condition and or obsessed about a health condition, but then wants to prove to the doctors when she goes into the office that she's capable of caring for herself or that she's physically even better than she is. So then it's like you trying to paint the picture that's really true for healthcare,
Right.
and then her being mad at you,
Right.
being mad at you because she feels like you're sabotaging her freedom, quote
Right.
unquote, her freedom to live at home.
And I think that's very true, not only for her, but for a lot of people where I think anyone should be able to remain at home. I think they should. And my mom being the fighter that she is, she will try and prove to everyone that she's okay being at home. And, for the most part, she has been, but there has been so many times to where I have said, Mom, you need more help than what I can give you because I am not a trained medical professional. And the caregiver that we do have who is wonderful with her, she's only there for 6 hours a day. It's not like she's there 8, 10, 12 hours.
Yeah.
When you start worrying about how much time a person spends alone and the possibility of what if this happens or what if this happens, to me now I'm understanding why I'm fatigued.
Yeah.
Because of the mental stress that comes in.
Gosh.
Granted, when you look back to over a year ago when she came out of the nursing home, I mean, she made great strides in doing physical therapy and trying to get good movement back and everything else. But then winter got really tough because, as we all know, up here, we had a very tough winter this year. And just the constant, oh, there's something wrong, there's something wrong, there's something wrong, when truthfully, she's a very healthy person. And always looking for something to be wrong, it has been very taxing.
Yeah.
Oh,
And, I do want to comment, and I'm just going to kind of read this list. So, people that are in this caregiving fatigue mode have true physical symptoms, some of which are chronic fatigue, exhaustion, poor sleep quality, increased susceptibility to illness, higher rates of cardiovascular disease and hypertension, increased chronic pain, and musculoskeletal complaints. So also psychological effects, like they may experience anxiety, depression, emotional exhaustion, irritability, feelings of helplessness or hopelessness, or social isolation. Because even in your mom's case, I know that sometimes you'll be like working and she's like, when are you getting home? When are you getting home? When are you getting home? So, like the pressure that you've got to get home, like right after work, like you can't, it's probably very almost impossible for you to have a dating relationship.
I feel like I'm always on edge.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm always like looking at my watch. Oh, I have to get going. I have to get going. I have to get back. I have to get back. And I think part of that that's what I'm feeling. Those are the symptoms that I'm feeling. I'm constantly feeling that edginess where I'm like, what, or,
Yeah.
and then yes, that having a hard time sleeping or falling asleep, the constant tiredness, which I was trying to figure out, but I think this is why,
Yeah.
and even like the physical aspects of the body hurting, which I think there's a lot involved there too. It's just because for me though, I think that the hardest part about all of this has been wanting her to understand where I'm coming from. And that I think has been the hardest part because when I try to talk to her about how I'm feeling about something or something that might be causing me to become so irritable because I feel that happening too because I'm like, oh my gosh, why are we talking about this again? Sometimes I don't think she truly takes the time to understand how I'm feeling about the situation because she can't.
Because her brain isn't able to see that perspective.
I don't think it is.
Yeah.
I've often thought on a good day, maybe it is, but I don't think it is because even when I mention something right away, she'll go to a different thing, so that makes me wonder, is that an effect of the stroke or is that an effect of the age?
Right. Because she doesn't have Alzheimer's or dementia.
No.
She has a brain condition but she has a post CVA, post ischemic, like she's changed. Her brain is different because of the stroke.
I feel it is.
Yeah.
I feel it is.
So, I mean, I'm sure that that's where a lot of your frustration lies. You truly, at your core, are just looking out for her health,
Yes.
her well-being, her safety.
Yes.
And nothing about your emotions are selfishness. You just, perhaps being in a nursing home with higher acuity care is the best thing for her. And yet she's clinging to staying at home.
Subscribe for more. Full episodes released Wednesdays.
I'm thrilled to share a product I trust and my patients love, Lemon Grove Oil. It's created by Dr. Jerry Del Canton, formulated to be absorbed super quickly, meaning neck pain, back pain, and arthritis relief come quickly. It's all natural with no sulfites, no parabens, and it's naturally derived, no preservatives. Something that's so important to us these days. If you want to feel better fast, give it a try. You won't be sorry. Visit lemongroveoil.com and use code Dr. Stephanie for 10% off. Are you able to step in and say, Mom, we have to do this?
That is the question.
Yeah.
I think. And even in discussion with my children, everyone is on the same page where everyone feels that she may need to have more care than what we are all able to give her at certain times. And to have that conversation is an adamant no at this point from her because we've talked about assisted living. We've talked about not wanting her to end up in nursing home care, but at the same time, she's fully aware of the fact that even one more fall, especially in between where I might, not be home from work yet and the caregiver being gone. I mean, that's what I think about. Oh my gosh, what if something's going to happen? We try to get her to understand those things, which in turn makes her, okay, I'm going to do better. I'm going to move around more and I'm going to make sure. But it still goes back to her health and well-being and her safety.
Yeah.
It's very hard to even have those discussions because she doesn't want to hear it.
Yeah.
I think sometimes in her defense too, maybe the reason she doesn't want to hear it is because it scares her.
Of course.
And that's rightly so.
Everyone has heard or nursing homes have gotten such a bad rap, right? Oh my gosh, and you go to a nursing home to die, and like they just think nursing home like death, or a nursing home mistreatment.
And that's not the case.
In fact, I have a patient who was in a very similar situation, and her mom was very unsafe at home. And her physician did deem that she needed to go to a nursing home. And her mom has thrived there. She gets 3 meals a day. There's so much social interaction. There is a different higher level acuity of care. And her mom is doing amazing. And the staff knows how to deal with people post-stroke or with Alzheimer's dementia. They know how to deal with someone in that state.
Right.
And, mothers and daughters might have triggers or buttons that get pressed, or that she's pressing intentionally. Or even, I used to say when I was a nurse, if a patient says something to me that's mean or nasty, or they're not my mom. There's no relational weight to that. It doesn't hurt me because we don't have a deep connected relationship. I'm the nurse, they're the patient. And if they say something mean and horrible to me, it sure doesn't hurt like if it was my mom or dad.
No, I get it. I do. You can draw that line or remove, that far removed. From it. And that's, that has been, part of some of the frustration too with in conversation or trying to bring a point across, and then the defensiveness that comes out. And that's not the intention at all. The intention is to just try and, help her to understand or make a point about certain A, B, or C situation. I've also had people tell me, you can't keep doing this forever.
Right.
And again, I think to myself, well, when it gets to the point to that she needs major help where I maybe can't be that person or, whatever, then we need to approach that conversation. But then there will be another day where I'm like, oh my gosh, Mom, we can't keep doing this. So every day is a little bit different. So there is a bit of a roller coaster ride there. On the really good days, those days are great. They really are. They're great. I think probably for her, those great days are the days that she gets to see her great grandchildren too. It goes from being really great to not being able to get out of bed the next day.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, where are we out here?
It's a very tumultuous roller coaster. I mean, even if she was cognitively perfect and hadn't had a stroke, even if she was just 90, just physically, she has a great day. You do things. Maybe you go out to dinner. She sees the grandbabies. Yeah, that probably took it out of her. She's probably so exhausted.
And she is, and she will admit that. It's very tough for her, but yet she still wants to be able to do those things, which I feel she should.
Yeah.
And she's funny in that aspect where she wants to still do the same things she was doing 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Even 10 years ago at 80, she was great. I mean, she was still having so many things and going so many places and, doing the things that she really enjoyed doing. But, at the same time, she also has macular degeneration. So that has been a real tough spot for her because if she could see better, in the beginning, she maybe wouldn't have taken as many falls as she did a few years ago because the vision was starting to deteriorate. That depth perception isn't there. And, the way she has to move around gets to be a little bit more difficult, even though once we get her, out of the house and walking and moving, she does great as long as she's got the help to get through things and move around, go to the places that she's not familiar with, let's say.
Right.
But it's a lot more work and it's very exhausting for her to do that.
And unfortunately, to take her somewhere yourself is very exhausting.
Yeah.
Because she has the physical restrictions and then she has a little bit of pride mixed in.
Yeah.
For you to take her to dinner isn't relaxing for you.
Not always. And even Like, she used to love to go to the grocery store. She's finally come to the realization that she can't do that she can't walk around the grocery store anymore. It takes too much out of her. And yeah, so she finally did come to that realization where we had been telling her, Mom, it would be so much easier but she found out that she can't do it. She has to be able to sit down. So yeah, in little baby steps, she's getting to the realizations that there are certain things that she can't do anymore.
Which is hard. Yeah, that's hard for anybody who's aging to acknowledge the things that they're not able to do. And to balance, I always say, we have to balance like how much movement is healthy and then how much are we overdoing it, right? In the physical person body that we were 10 years ago, 20 years ago is not the reality of our body today.
No, not at all. And, the other thing that I could add too is I can remember saying years and years ago to both of my parents, I would always do everything I could to make sure that they did not have to be in a nursing home situation. I believe very strongly. I never thought that I would be, in the situation that I'm in, and nobody does. I don't think anybody ever expects it. So that does get said to me quite a bit.
By her, your mom?
You said, and I'm like, yes, I did say that. But if it becomes medically necessary is also what I said.
Yeah.
And I think nobody wants to remember that probably, but it's something too that I don't think, with her either. She doesn't have anything to compare this to.
Yes.
With my dad, he was a military veteran and made the cognitive decision on his own to go to the veterans facility because he needed more help than what my mom could give him. Because
he had a stroke.
Yes, he did.
And his stroke was very debilitating, where he was completely like flaccid on one side, like lost control.
Right. And he did everything in his power to do the physical therapy and everything else to try and regain that strength. But unfortunately, he wasn't able to because he did have some other health situations too.
And the stroke affected his swallowing ability.
Yes, it did. He made the cognitive decision. I need to go to the vet's facility to try to get stronger and better. So maybe I can go home. But then he did come to the realization that he was not going to go home. So, that is another aspect of where my mom really doesn't know what it's like to be that caregiver person, even having the help that we do, with the caregiver who comes in that does a fantastic job with her.
Yeah. So she did not take care of your dad at all.
No.
And how long ago did he pass away?
It'll be 11 years this year.
11 years. Yeah. So basically they were like a healthy, happy couple. And then he has a one big devastating stroke that like changes everything.
Changed everything. And, it's one of those things where when you see that change everything, especially for my mom, the way it did, it's like, it was really devastating to for her to be in this situation now where thankfully she still is at home. She's not able to see how it's affecting other people around her.
Yeah.
She's not seeing that.
Because her mom and dad were in Germany and she was here in the United States. So she probably didn't even have the experience of her own grandparents aging or.
I know that when she was growing up, her aunt lived with them that needed some care. And so from when she was really young, I know she did see some of that, but because she never lived near her mother, her mom lived alone until she died and, did not, her and her brothers all lived far away. So my mom never, had that point either to where she was taking care of an elderly parent.
Yeah.
So she was involved with taking care of an elderly parent. I've told her that.
Yeah.
We've had that conversation where I have had to say, you know what, you don't have any idea what it's like as an adult child to be taking care of your parents. She knew that because she didn't have an answer for me.
Oh.
So I thought, you can't answer that. You can't.
You haven't walked in my shoes.
No.
Yeah.
I've had the utmost respect for my parents and they were very, very good to me throughout my life. I feel that I should return that to them. But when you start to see things my kids have said to me, Mom, you should be at a different spot in your life right now, which I should be. I should be.
Well, you've put, your own personal life on hold,
That's what happens.
and
That is what
it's on indefinite hold.
I tend to feel that way some days.
Yeah.
And it's like, I will also say, I don't know how much time I have left with my mom. It could be years and maybe not. We don't know that. None of us know that.
No.
I think about the quality of time,
Versus the quantity of time.
and
Yeah.
everybody wants to have quality time with their family, but some days it can be, it's just interesting to watch what happens as your parents age,
Yeah.
to have people on the outside tell you, you can't keep doing this,
Yeah.
or you seem like you're tired, or you seem like, and I'm just, I'll tell you on. Well, yeah, actually,
Yeah.
you have to be able to admit that to yourself.
Yeah. And this is probably a common and very poignant topic, caregiver fatigue, because where's the out, right? Where's the end? You can't escape. You can't be like, I've gotta go have a spa weekend. Like,
I make the comment, I'm not going to stop taking a vacation every year because I do enjoy traveling with a really great group of friends. And I had to tell her that I'm not going to put something on hold. I'm not going to stop my life, which I know she doesn't expect me to do that. But sometimes she would have some very sharp words, about what I should be doing, or what she thought I should be doing.
Do you feel like when you've been gone for a week that you sort of have to pay for it because she's angry that you quote unquote left her?
Sometimes, yes. I think more so she depends on like when I'm going to be back, because I think she truly does like miss me when I'm gone, because she's used to me being there every day.
Yeah.
Those kinds of things. Or, having to like make a plan way ahead of time before I go anywhere, even if it's for like a conference for my job. I have to make sure that, okay, this is the way it's going to go. This is where I'm going to be gone. I'm only going to call you A, B, or C amount of times. And she usually does pretty well because, again, someone is there with her when I am gone, not at night. She's done well. I always have to think about the fact that, okay, I may not be able to go if something comes up.
Yeah.
Or if something it's going to depend on what's going on, because even with trying to convince her to go to respite care, nope. Nope. She always says, I'll be perfectly fine. I just go to bed early anyway.
Absolutely.
And well-being.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So again, those kinds of stressors, even when you are trying to have some time away, for anyone that's in the situation, for anyone taking care of or helping to take care of, whatever the case may be. I definitely feel like it's honestly definitely taken a toll, on me personally, because I can feel it.
Yeah.
Right.
And we're both mothers, and here we are we won't say how old we are, but we would never want to put our children in this situation.
No, I've told my kids that. I've told my kids that. And my son is funny. He's like, oh, Mom, I've already got that covered. He goes, we're just going to, let's take this some light. And then we laugh. But then and I'm like, no, I'll be okay with that because that's the way it's going to be.
Because you've been in the situation and you see what a toll it takes, and you wouldn't want to put your children in that situation.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And circling back, I think my dad didn't want that situation for my mom either.
Yeah.
I think he was very aware of what that would do.
What his limitations were physically, what it would look like for your mom to be his primary caregiver.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really do not want to put my kids in that kind of situation, regardless.
Michelle, what would you like to tell our listeners about this situation? do you have any insight? Like, do you feel like a support group is helpful?
Very helpful.
Because there's nothing as comforting as having someone understand your situation.
Absolutely. And I think to have other people that are in the same situation to maybe talk to about, I mean, one of my friends told me this recently too. She's like, you need to maybe find a support group of some kind. Talk to other people that are in the same situation as you are. Because there's days that I want to pull my hair out.
Of
It
course.
would be very useful, very helpful for people to be able to talk to someone else that may be in the same situation or may have been in a same situation. It's important for people to know how great it is to be able to have your parents stay at home. I think that's true for anyone. You would want to be able to be at home.
Yeah.
But to walk into it and think, oh, this will be just fine. I don't have a problem with any of this. I don't think that was a real good way to look at it. Because I mean, that at first was like, oh, this will be fine. I can do this.
Things change. Your mom has a stroke, that changes her, that changes her brain, that changes your relationship, that changes the pressure on you, that changes the stresses on you.
Yep.
That
100%.
like all that you can't predict the dynamics of how things are going to change in the
And I think too, for people to completely, understand the person that's in the situation of needing the help, and you can call it what you want, whether it's just needing help or actually being a caregiver. You want people to have dignity and you want people to feel like they're being cared for, sure. But there's a difference between that mother-daughter relationship or father-son relationship or whatever person is involved. It is affected greatly.
Yeah.
I can honestly say that. And I feel like there's a lot of other people out there that would probably agree with that.
Yeah.
It's affected
Absolutely.
greatly. And like I said, to a point where you're feeling great when there's really great days. And it's like, oh, you can sit there and think, oh, this is just like old times. This is good. And then the next day something completely changes and you're like, wait a second.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely a very interesting situation to be in where it changes every day. But I think having someone else to talk to is crucial for people to have that support that they need, because you don't know sometimes how it's going to go.
Yeah. So, I'm going to make it my homework that I'm going to find some caregiver support groups. I'm going to put these in the show notes. And, both locally and nationwide, our listeners are coming from everywhere. But, yeah, it's a heavy, heavy topic. It does feel a little bit helpless, right?
At times, yeah.
Like, what's the solution? What's the end game? Where do you go? It's this indefinite kind of like up and down, day to day.
And I think when you're faced with some of these decisions too that will come up in the future, whether they come up real fast or whether, they're down the road, having people there that can help you is going to be crucial. And I've personally been very lucky to have a wonderful group of friends that have been awesome and supportive. And then, having my own children be amazing too. And not everybody gets that. Not everybody gets to have that.
Yeah.
So those things are super important.
It has been such a pleasure and an honor to talk to you today about this topic that so many people are probably in the circumstance that you're in. And I'm sure that it's going to be really comforting for them to hear this.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm glad to share the story. And I think just realizing how hard it can be is probably the key right there.
And even verbalizing the difficulty, right? Like acknowledging how difficult this is.
Right. And you have to acknowledge it yourself.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I thought, nope, this is going to be fine. I can
do this. I'm tough, right? I'm strong. I'm resilient. I'm capable.
And you find out how maybe not as strong as you thought you are, or how it is okay to feel the way that you do.
Yeah.
I think that's true too.
And that it is an enormous responsibility, and that maybe you weren't meant to carry it alone.
Right. That's a good point. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening.
If you've enjoyed this podcast, would you please rate it, review it, like, or subscribe? You can find me on social media at wautierwellness.com, Dr. Stephanie Wautier on Instagram, or Wautier Wellness Chiropractic and Massage on Facebook. And I'm so curious where your next conversation will take you. This episode of Conversations with a Chiropractor is supported by Lemon Grove Oil. One of the things I'm always paying attention to, both in this podcast and in my work, is where something comes from. Not just what a product says it does, but who created it, why they created it, and whether there is real care behind it. That is one of the reasons Lemon Grove Oil feels like such a natural fit here. Lemon Grove was founded by chiropractor Dr. Jerry Del Canton. This is not a random wellness brand that appeared overnight because CBD became popular. It grew out of the chiropractic world, where trust matters, where quality matters, and where people are often looking for thoughtful ways to support themselves between visits, during their busy seasons of life, and in the day-to-day routines that shape how they feel. Lemon Grove offers professional-grade CBD products, including topical lotions, butters, roll-ons, and gummies. They focus on quality, transparency, THC-free formulations with third-party testing, and products designed with healthcare providers in mind. I think that matters because when you are choosing something for yourself or your family, you want more than nice packaging. You want to know there is a real philosophy behind it. If you're curious about Lemon Grove Oil, visit their website at www.lemongroveoil.com.
Visit the link in the description and use code DRStephanie at checkout to save 10% on your next order. This offer is exclusive to listeners of Conversations with a Chiropractor.